nice earlier, and my day has just beaten me into the ground, and I saw my hand on camera earlier. I have the hands of a 42-year-old woman. They are disgusting. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. Why are we here today? We're here today to talk about Oktoberfest beers. If I had to describe Oktoberfest beers in 3 words, I would say sweet, malty, bad. I know that might be a controversial opinion, but I don't think I realized going into this how much I would not like this style of beer, but you know what? I don't like it. And almost everything I'm about to talk about, I gave 2 to 3 stars, and if you don't want to watch, don't watch. I'm also going to be consulting my phone a lot because I can't even distinguish them in my memory, and I need to look at my written words about them. I'm disturbed. I'm angry. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. Let's roll up our sleeves. I love this shirt. It makes me feel like I'm in Soviet Russia. Before we begin, I just want to talk about the beer I'm currently drinking, because if you couldn't tell, I'm under the influence. This is Howling Court's Pumpkin Ale. And by under the influence, I mean I'm a third of the way through one beer, so I'm basically sober. And these reviews are going to be so coherent. This is actually pretty good. I thought that I had this last year, but I'm thinking that I had tried their pumpkin cider. And the cider, if I am remembering correctly, is not good at all. But this is pretty good. It's very spicy and it is sweet. I won't lie, it is pretty sweet. It's maybe just what I want to be consuming in this moment. And I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars. I might regret that later. Let's be real. These reviews are meaningless and no one really cares. Just want to talk about Atomic Pumpkin for a minute. I know, pumpkin beer? Aren't we over the pumpkin thing? But this is good. It's very spicy. It has habanero in it and cinnamon. And if you haven't had it yet, you're missing out. Okay, now that that's been said, let's do these reviews. We're just gonna roll with it. Bring joy to this video. I just got so scared. I looked over and I thought that I hadn't pressed record. Let's first talk about Shiner Oktoberfest. I don't have the bottle because I've become very lazy about taking notes and saving bottles. Shiner Oktoberfest was actually surprisingly good. I don't like Shiner Bock that much, and I also don't like their other seasonal offerings. They have a prickly pear beer that I had over the summer that was quite disappointing. Shiner Oktoberfest is skunky, it's malty, it's sweet. It's what Oktoberfest beer, I think, is supposed to taste like if the, 8 or so that I've had are any indication. This one definitely was less annoying to me than some other ones. I think just the fact that it wasn't overly sweet made me like it a little bit more. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest. Look, I love Sierra Nevada, so I'm not really surprised that I liked this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think what made it work for me is that it wasn't quite as malty and sweet as some of the other Oktoberfest beers. It had a slightly more robust ale-like flavor. I also had a beer called Great Divide Pumpkin Ale. Let me grab it. Okay, so Great Divide Pumpkin Ale. Let's talk about it. It is a pumpkin ale. If you look at it, it's got a cute little headless horseman. It was very, very, very dark. It was chocolate brown, milk chocolate, but chocolate brown when I poured it into a glass, which was very surprising to me. I did not expect that color on a beer like this. I would expect that of a stout or something more in that vein. It was pretty cool. It was malty and sweet and had a lot of spice flavor. I think what really stood out to me was a brown sugar flavor. Sorry, there's a mosquito in here. A brown sugar flavor to it that it took me a really long time to identify. I was just taking small sips and doing that thing where you breathe in through your nose and kind of don't open your mouth, and I just couldn't place it. It took me a very long time to place the fact that it's a brown sugar flavor, but it does have that, and that to me just added a depth and an interesting note that I just kept coming back for. I just wanted to explore this beer because it felt like it had a lot going on, which I think for some pumpkin beers and Oktoberfest beers can be lacking. They can kind of be a little one level, a little predictable. This was a little something extra, and I really appreciated that. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I also tried another pumpkin ale called Southern Star Brewing Cider Pumpkin Ale. Cider Pumpkin Ale, I barely remember, but judging from my notes, it tastes almost cider-like Fruity up front with some cinnamon, nutmeg, flavor afterwards. Mildly caramelly with a smooth mouthfeel and a slightly vegetal finish. 3 out of 5 stars. Rounding out, I think, all the pumpkin ales that I've tried this month, I had Dogfish Head Pumpkin Ale. This was the best Dogfish Head beer I've ever had because it was not bland and it was not too much. It was understated perfection. Pumpkin pie melted down, minus 50% of the sugar. That's what this tasted like. It was fall in a bottle. Something less exciting and less pleasing was Odell Brewing's Oktoberfest. Odell is a brewery, much like Martin House, where their can artwork is often nicer than the beer itself. It definitely tasted like all the other Oktoberfest beers I had. It was just somehow more pungent, more pervasive. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. We're getting there. For the first time this year, Live Oak Oktoberfest, the can's on the ground. I don't really need to hold it up. It was cool. It was more in line with what I expected Oktoberfest beers to be, in that it was just a little more, it was all those same flavor notes, but just a milder version. And so I guess when I'm thinking of Oktoberfest, I'm thinking of something somebody would really want to consume a lot of, and maybe that's wrong. I literally, at the top of this little Google Doc I have a note that's like, research what Oktoberfest beers are supposed to be. And then, like, I haven't done that. So Live Oak Oktoberfest was just sort of a milder version of an Oktoberfest beer with some smoky notes to me. I don't know if that is totally intentional. I find that a lot of their beers kind of have a smoky note to them. Just a mild bit of smoke. And then finally, I talked about this one in my last video, but it was the Hecker Pure Oktoberfest beer. This was a German beer, German Oktoberfest. It was skunkier than some of the American counterparts, but still had the same basic Oktoberfest flavor profile. I tried this one first to have a baseline of what to kind of expect, and I think it definitely serves as a really good baseline. It's enjoyable, definitely more so than like the Odell, some of the other ones. Like, I could actually see myself drinking a couple of these without getting irritated. Yeah, so I gave it also 3 out of 5 stars. Pretty much, I'm totally biased. I rate things that I like IPAs high. I rate things that I don't like in the middle or at low end, even though I should maybe be looking at them objectively without acknowledging the fact that I just don't like it. This is my channel. I can do whatever I want. We're at the end. That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna do another one of these because I'm sure I'm gonna try more. I'll be on vacation next week, so I'll be trying a lot of beers not from Texas, which is exciting. Look, like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell, leave a comment, do it all. Support me on my journey